Hey, most business owners think that they have a growth problem, but what I'm actually seeing is that they have a decision problem. They can't make the right decisions. They're not stopping to make the right decisions. After meeting with hundreds of business owners in Miami at the business show in Miami, I'm more convinced than ever that most businesses are overlooking some of the most strategic growth concepts and paths that are available to them today. So, what I'm going to do in this episode is to go deeper. I'm going to go below the surface like you've never gone before. Stick around.
This is the Franchise Pitfalls and Profit Show. Each week, we bring you the challenges and triumphs of being in the franchise development and consulting business. The things you need to make money faster. And now your host, one of the most successful franchise developers in North America, Don Shin.
Hey, welcome back to Franchise Pitfalls and Profits. And this is the show where we get real about the mechanics of growth, how to build the right way, how to avoid the mistakes that are quietly out there stalling good businesses, the ones that I have seen for years. I'm going to be able to tell you where the pitfalls are, and that's what this show talks about. We talk about creating strong architecture, strong systems that can actually carry the kind of scale that most of you want. Again, I'm Don Shin, and I am excited to be with you today because what I'm going to do is continue the conversation that really started at the Miami Business Show that I was down there doing master classes to hundreds of folks. My last episode, I talked about what I saw down there at the business show, which is what most business owners are missing. And today I want to go beneath the surface another level deeper. So stick around because after these conversations, after the presentations, after all of the questions that I fielded, all of the sidebar hallway discussions I had down in Miami, I am convinced more now than ever, and so much became more obvious to me, and that is that business owners are not struggling because they lack opportunity. They are struggling because they're making growth decisions inside a very, very narrow, limited framework or scope. Honestly, if they're making the decisions at all. And if you don't expand your framework, eventually growth starts to become really a lot heavier, a lot slower, with a lot more drag instead of healthier. So that's really what we're talking about today. Hey, first segment today, most owners only see one or two growth paths. One of the biggest things that was confirmed to me or validated for me in Miami was that most owners are still looking at pretty much two growth paths. One is just adding more locations, and then another one is to just try to sell more of what they already do. And that's basically an entire framework for a huge percentage of business owners that are out there. And listen, there is nothing wrong with either one of those strategies, either one of those directions or decisions. But opening more corporate locations can absolutely work. However, there are challenges to this. There are greater risks to doing that than what most people really observe. Selling more to your existing market can also actually work. But what I've been seeing and talking about is don't just allow this, don't allow yourselves to simply default into one of these two paths automatically without first asking yourself some strategic questions. The biggest thing I want you to be thinking about today is, and the mindset is that, is this a strategic fit for you in your business, for you in your life, for you as the owner leader of the business, maybe that you even founded and started? And this is where growth slowly creates problems for the owners. Again, adding another location sounds exciting. It sounds like a great idea until you become responsible for the full team as the owner. Is that really where you are now in your business? If you're growing, you've probably been in business 5 to 10 years or more. Is that what you want? More people to be reporting to you? Do you want to add more overhead? Not just payroll, which I just mentioned, but also leases, added equipment. You've got to now put in higher paid people, more management structure. These are the things, and what these things are going to do is stretch or challenge the culture that you've built in your company. They're clearly going to bring on more fires for you to put out. They're going to add complexity. So while, again, think you could just take what you've done and move it over here, there's more challenges and complexity that I want you to be thinking about. Many owners underestimate what this multi-location complexity will really feel like. Again, if you've been in business certainly more than 10 years, you don't want more stress and more strain and more complexity, do you? I mean, the business owners that I talk to don't. They want to do it in a more leveraged, strategic way. And when you do that, systems are going to matter a lot. Leadership, and this is fun, actually, the fun part, not just adding more people that you've got to manage, but I'm talking leadership of a brand. Hiring becomes different and more exciting. Communication gaps will multiply if you're not conscious of that. But again, you can get away from some of those things with some of the growth paths that I've been talking about. Inconsistency, adding a location and inconsistency outside of what you've been running for many, many years, that's going to be expensive. So growth without strategically recognizing the fit, strategically deciding, is this really the direction I want to go in? That kind of growth will expose things. It's going to expose weaknesses that may have been hidden before. One of the things that I kept hearing down in Miami was that was a subtle assumption that if I just grow more, things are going to get better. So grind it out, gut it out, throw my shoulder to the wheel, as we used to say. But growth doesn't automatically fix operational strain or architectural weaknesses. Honestly, in most cases, it's actually going to magnify that. So let me shift gears on you here. I want to talk about why I think these business owners are missing some of these things. One of the biggest reasons is that growth opportunities is because they're only looking at growth through a very narrow lens, almost like you have cataracts. From what I understand about cataracts vision actually kind of gets rid of some of the peripheral vision that you have. You don't see the whole scope. It means that what is most obvious, the next step, is what's the best strategic next step. You want to be stopping and thinking about what's just next, and think about strategically what fits the best and what should be next. And those are really two very, very different thoughts, or two very, very different questions. And this is where I think many owners unintentionally really limit themselves. The scope of opportunities is huge, but it's not there if you don't know what to look for. A familiar path a lot of times feels safer. And as I talked a little bit earlier here, just a few of the things: added overhead, added equipment, capital expenditure, added in management that you have to pay higher costs to manage more people, bigger payroll. All of these things add risk to simply the simple thought that I'll just open another location. So Again, natural instinct, just go build another one. But what is a more strategic move? Maybe it's adding complementary revenue streams. Maybe it's acquiring a competitor that's already there and got the infrastructure. Maybe it's franchising your brand. If you've been in business, highly profitable, you've got good systems, maybe you are in a couple of locations, you've been in business 5 or 10 plus years, maybe franchising your concept would actually be a good growth path. Bottom line, what you want to do if you've been in business a number of years, profitably done it well, you want to build leverage instead of building workload. Build leverage instead of building workload. And so I want to be very careful here. I'm not saying that franchising or added revenue streams, I'm not saying something through franchising is for everybody, because in fact, for a lot of businesses, it's not. But one of the biggest, and certainly turning your brand into a franchise, this is indeed one of the biggest problems in franchising. People are moving to that too quickly without thinking that through or without having the right advisors there. But franchising is not like pixie dust, from Disney, and it's not magic. It's not automatically the right answer, but it is a great strategic growth model. And if the business is structured properly, when you go to franchise, your leadership is key and your systems are key. You're actually growing systems, but your business has to be in the right place, or you need to get strong advisors to help to know where to look for the cracks, where to look for some of the weaknesses, and then help you build it the right way. When franchising is right, it changes the entire growth equation. You're building systems. You're building from an infrastructure that's created for scaling. You're building, and the fun stuff, brand and leadership and culture. You're leveraging instead of solely having to come up with capital or operational bandwidth. It's a completely different conversation, but it's an awesome conversation if your business is ready for even considering it. All right, segment 3 here is the overlooked strategy. Owners responded to the most in Miami. I was really kind of shocked at how many business owners didn't think about this. And so again, I want to continue to emphasize it. I got tremendous response at the Miami masterclasses that I did. And it had nothing to do with franchising their business, but it was the idea of adding a second revenue stream and potentially doing that quicker through a proven franchise system that provides those services. That really, really caught people's attention. I could see the light bulb going off over their heads. They had literally never thought about it. They had never considered it. And here's what I mean. Let's say you own a successful business. What do you already have? Think about the business that you have and you do every day. What do you have? You have customers. Probably the number one most difficult thing to do in business is marketing to get customers. 6 times more expensive to get a new customer than to do more business with an existing customer. What else do you have? You have trust. And what is going to grow more business, or how are you going to do more business? It's not going to be with customers that don't trust you. That trust is so important. Why do you have trust? Because you've got relationships in the marketplace already. You've got brand awareness. You've got a local market presence. So There may be additional, in fact, I'm confident there are additional services that your customers are buying. They already need them. They're buying them from somebody else. Why shouldn't they buy them from you, who they trust and already do business with? So most owners are thinking, well, I'd have to build that all myself. So even if they've thought about it, that's what they're thinking. And you certainly can do that. I'm not saying don't do that. But what I'm saying is there's another way to do that. And that is through tapping into an existing proven franchise system that is going to get you to revenue and profitability much, much quicker. Instead of spending years developing the additional revenue stream from scratch, you go to an existing proven model. Doesn't mean that every franchise is good. And again, you want to do this well. You want to do this strategically. You want to do this with a brand that you'll align with culturally and leadership wise. And again, you need some advisors to help you do that, help you through that whole process. But this is one of the most overlooked growth conversations that's happening right now, because the right revenue stream is going to give you increased customer lifetime value. If you don't know what that means, Google it. If you want help with that, again, we can certainly help you with that. It is something I was shocked how many business owners in Miami did not understand what that meant. But adding a revenue stream, doing business in your same basic market is going to be able to increase your customer lifetime value. You're also going to have opportunities to cross-sell, which is fantastic. You're going to reduce dependency on the single business that you do now, the single revenue streams that you have now. You're going to improve what they call stickiness, client retention. If you're selling more things to them, the likelihood that they don't look anywhere else is higher. So you're going to keep them longer. And then you're just going to overall strengthen the value of your business, the asset that you've created. In most cases, owners are sitting on trusted customer relationships that are dramatically undervalued. You are not recognizing what you really have there now that you're already doing business, have a relationship, and they trust you to come to them. So this was one of the biggest reactions that I saw in Miami. You could almost, again, see people's minds, the wheels turning, as they say, when they were recalculating their business while we were talking. Again, this is talking about adding a franchise concept to add a revenue stream to the business that you already have. So I want to talk about the real question, and that is not to how do I grow? The real question is what kind of growth actually fits my business, my life, my goals, my capacity, and the capabilities of my team. Because not all growth is equal. Some growth increases freedom. Some growth destroys the freedom that you've built by owning your business and operating it so well for so many years. Some growth creates this enterprise value, but some growth actually just adds more responsibility and decreases the value, decreases your profitability. Some growth will create leverage, and some growth will create more dependency on you as the owner. And again, is that the life that you really want at the stage that you are in business ownership? So I think this is where owners need to just slow down long enough to think strategically instead of reactively. Most expansion ideas or decisions get very emotional. Hey, the market seems hot right now. I see competitors growing. Why aren't I? I see others scaling. I need to. Somebody online is talking about 10x growth. I love it. That's great. Those are terrific. but suddenly owners are feeling this pressure to move. And what I'm saying is that you need to slow down and think strategically. Movement and alignment are not the same thing, and you want to be sure that you don't react, you respond, you make a critical, intentional decision, and that growth connects with your business, your life, your goals, and the capabilities of your team. Sometimes the smartest growth decision is strengthening where you are first. It's improving your economics first. It's clarifying leadership. What type of leadership do you want to do? And do you have people on your key personnel that can handle the leadership? Maybe it's creating systems or really strengthening the systems. There's a lot of things that the smartest growth decisions are about. Growth should not outpace your business's ability to carry it. And I think that's what we see so much. Growth ends up causing more problems, more grief, more hours. And often the growth, your sales growing up, but your profitability isn't, which means every new sales dollar you're bringing on is actually costing you money. Your money is going out the door. And I want to tell you what the Miami show really, how it really impacted me, and what it really reinforced, I should say, to me. And that is that business owners are hungry for clarity. Boy, again, the number of people that came up to me after the master classes, people that other exhibitors would stop by my booth, having heard or read what my topics were. They don't want hype. They don't want pressure. They don't want just another person yelling at them, scale faster, or 10x, pay me this and I'll do that and you'll be able to do that. They want someone who can clearly, critically, intentionally think with them. Honestly, I think that's the reasons my sessions, people connected so well with what we were talking about in Miami. We weren't trying to convince anybody to franchise their business, to buy a franchise. We weren't trying to convince people really to do anything, quite candidly. We were helping them think differently. And that's the big difference. When owners finally see the options in front of them, they really make better decisions. Sometimes clarity itself will change things, which is terrific. One of the lines I used during my sessions was that most owners don't realize that they're making a growth decision. They think they're just growing. And that line resonated hard. Why? Because it's true. Every expansion moves the consequences, changes the consequences. Every path creates different pressures. Every model creates different operational realities. As I was talking earlier about the simple one about opening another location, you've got capital expenditure, you've got added payroll, you've got added fixed costs in leasing and offices and space. So one of the most dangerous things owners can do is accidentally build themselves into a future that they actually don't want. They never want it. So let me just close, with a final reflection. I want you to leave with a few questions. I like you to get value out of my sessions. I know that I like to challenge you and give you practical things that you can do in your business. So these are not tactical kinds of questions today. These are really getting you to think more strategically. So one of them is, are you choosing growth intentionally, or have you just defaulted into what looks to be the obvious thing I should do? The thought is that it's safer to do it. Second thing, are you building leverage, or are you just adding workload and responsibility? This is really, really key. If you're in business 8 to 10 years or more, you should really be thinking about how to leverage all of the years and the success that you've had. Don't just add workload on top of it. Another core question is, are you scaling systems or have you scaled into greater dependence on you as the owner? We find the owners become bottlenecks in a lot of cases. They're not scaling their systems. So look at that. And then last question is, are you creating a business that can carry growth, can carry scale? Or is the business just kind of being held together on your energy levels? And believe me, if you've been in business 8 to 10 or more years, that's just not fun. So again, are you stepping back far enough to evaluate all of the growth paths that are available to you? That's what I want you to leave today with, because many owners have so many more options than they realize, but they are not getting the clarity that they need before they scale. So, hey, thanks again for joining me today here at Franchise Pitfalls and Profits. The episode, I love to build my episodes so that you get challenged, so that you think differently. If you've gotten value out of this, please subscribe, please like the episode, share it with someone else. And if you are trying to think through growth decisions inside your own business, whether it's expanding, adding revenue streams, growing your systems, maybe franchising your brand, hey, that's where we love to have the conversations with you. So thanks again for listening. And always remember that growth is not the goal. Getting it right is. Thanks for being with me. Appreciate y'all.